got our coach mentoring program, which let me tell you is not for the faint-hearted. Hey, it's a super intense, it's a very masculine shaping process, and what it does is it outputs, in our view, the best coaches on the planet, of which I have my full and complete experience of, as Yvette is one of them.
Wow.
So I am so pleased to have her here today. Enjoy. See you, Melanie. Give her a hand.
Thank you. I want to take Jay with me everywhere I go when he talks about that. Well, thank you, ladies. It's an honour to be here speaking in front of you today, and I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes sharing with you practical tips and techniques about how you can let your light shine. I've been talking a lot today about getting practical and about owning our femininity and the space and leadership. And so I want to start with, for those that heard me last time, with what I finished. And these are just powerful, powerful words. So our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be gorgeous, talented, fabulous, brilliant? Well, who are you not to be? You are all children of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that those around you do not feel insecure. We are all meant to shine, like children do. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give those around us permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our very presence liberates others. Freaking love those words. I love that word. Now, my interpretation of what Marianne's trying to say is that we are here to build our lives around our strengths, to find out those activities that make us great, that let our light shine, to find out, get to know ourselves, and build our lives around those activities. And so the question becomes, of course, how do we do that? Well, why do we do that? Research shows that those people that build their lives around strengths are more productive, fulfilled, and likely to achieve excellence. And of course, who doesn't want that? So Dr. Robert Sternberg from Cornell University has spent decades researching highly successful individuals. And what he found was the one common trait amongst them all. There's nothing to do with their IQ, nothing to do with their HSC results, nothing to do with the clothes they wear or the MBA on the wall. It's all to do with knowing who you are, knowing what you're good at, and then applying those strengths. Of course, realisation without enactment is nothing. So, how do we do that? It all begins with the mindset. The mindset shift that I believe every single one of you have already taken. Or if not yet, you're in the process of doing it. So the belief that you have talents and strengths that you can use. You all have unique qualities that you can bring to the table. So have the mindset that you have these to share. So who has done the Strengths Finder? Quite a few hands have gone up. Yeah, good on. Yeah. More. There's 11 million people around the world that have done the Clifton Strengths Finder. Those of you who haven't done it, I highly recommend going online to strengthsfinder.com and doing that. It's $9.95 until August. They're going to put the price up after that. But it'll give you the first step and opportunity to put a language around your talents. Of course, there are other tools. You might have done the Enneagram, which is also very powerful. Martin Seligman's VIA, Values in Action, is also another tool that can start to give you language and insight as to what makes you great or how you can shine. Do you know, for those of you who have done the Strengths Finder, there is a 1 in 33 million chance that you will run into somebody else that has the top 5 talents in the same order that you do. It's not quite like turning up to the same party and wearing the same dress, right? So obviously the 7 billion people on the planet, a 1 in 33 million chance means that there could be 212 other people walking around the planet with the same Strengths Finder profile as yourself. But when you think about your talents, the activities that you do that make you feel strong, your strengths, then it's not just your talents. It also comes from your skills and your knowledge and your experience that you've had over life. So when you think about those 212 other people, nobody in the world has the same talent profile as yourself. And in the immortal, very wise words of Dr. Seuss, today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. So today's about, as I said, realisation without enactment is nothing. And so just knowing your strengths is not enough. In the very wise word of one J. Headley, talent is overrated. Yeah, right? You've heard that before. So we're going to get jiggy, get practical. I want you to divide your page up in three. Okay, so once you've done that, we're focusing at the moment on this top third. I want you to divide that in half. And in terms of getting practical, I want you to, this is all part of getting to know the activities that make you feel strong. So for those of you who've done the Clifton Strengths Finder, you'll have language around your top talent themes. But what does that mean in terms of how you use your talents? How do you create a strength? So up here in this box number 1, is I want you to answer these questions. What are you doing when you're soul singing? When time flies? When you're feeling shiny? And I want you to start to list the activities. So for me, it'd be things like brainstorming, solutions, love. It'd be climbing trees with my daughter. Those sorts of things. So they're behaviours, they're activities. And in the interest of time today, we've got very short time, so I'm going to rush through this a bit, but hopefully this is a framework that you'll take home and you'll revisit. Spend a bit more time. Give yourself the gift of introspection. Okay, so once you've got a couple of activities, I want you then on this side, in box number 1A, to investigate why. Why do those activities make you feel shiny? Why? What is it about them that make you feel great? This will begin a process for you to understand, getting to know how you can let your own light shine well. As we said before, talent is overrated. Talent does not equal talented. So for those of you who have done the Clifton Strengths Finder, it's quite funny in terms of actually critiquing the company you used to work for. I think they should have called it Talent Finder. Just because you have the talent does not mean it's a strength. So when we talk about strength, it's these activities that make us feel strong. So the anatomy of a strength is it certainly begins with talent. You will only ever achieve excellence if you have the natural talent for something. But you also need a whole lot of skills and a whole lot of knowledge to round that out so that you can consistently perform at that near perfect level. So if you think about it, you might have a talent for being empathetic, for really connecting with someone, a real talent for holding a whole lot of really technical information, and a really steady hand, even after 3 cups of coffee. But even if you have all these things, there's no way in hell I'm letting you operate on me, unless you've gone to med school. You've done that 5 years of getting all the knowledge. And then you've spent another 6-7 years being a junior medical house officer, and then rising through the ranks and really practicing. Not on that. You know, so when we say talent is overrated, Talent is the key building block of a strength, but it's overrated unless you consciously use it, unless you consciously bring awareness and get action. Get action. So how do you do that? So it begins with, again, the mindset, motivation. Get motivated to find out what your talents are and then to use them. Build your lives around them. Feel productive, fulfilled, and achieve that excellence. It begins obviously with the awareness. So those tools I mentioned before, the Enneagram, the StrengthsFinder, VIA.org, I think it is, as a way for you to start naming them. The activity we just did, and claim them. Own what makes you great. And then practice. I'm going to be okay with sucking. I was thinking of Kelly's conversation before, that's a whole other thing. So I was actually thinking of my daughter doing handstands. So she is 8 and she's great and she's naturally drawn to climb trees and do cool things with her bodies that as we grow up we kind of stop doing. But turning upside down is real fun for her. But when she first decided, her friends in gymnastics and she saw the perfect handstand. So Sophia started doing handstand and she got really upset that she was no good. And of course, as a mum, I wanted to say, yes, you are, of course you're great. It's like, well, no, honey, you do, you suck. You suck at doing handstands. How many handstands have you done in your life? She was like, well, that was my first. I was like, well, how can you expect to be great? But she's just got this natural inclination. She just wants to do it. And so practice. So I told her to practice and then review what she was doing. And she's got this just natural drive to get there. So if you're leading from a strength, if you're building around a strength, you'll have that instinctual drive of wanting to do an activity. But you've got to practice and persevere and be okay with sucking until you don't. The difference is when you're building on a talent, you will get to the stage where you can do a perfect handstand. The signs, Marcus Buckingham has a great acronym to say, is it a talent or not? Obviously driving PowerPoint's not a talent of mine. To be you, to own what makes you great. Assist signs. So think in your life where you've had success. When were you great at something? In that glimpse of excellence in your life, there will be key talents. What are you instinctively drawn to? G for growth. What have you done in the past that you've just naturally got? You don't have to struggle so much. And then what do you need to do? This can be a fine line between AC/DC. Do you really need to lock 4 times the door? But so signs for strength. So again, getting jiggier. In this next box, what are the KPIs, either within your role, within your business? What do you want to achieve as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a friend? What are your goals? We just had some great conversation, great tips about getting clear on our goals. So maybe some of those things that you've just identified from Amanda speaking. There's some these down here. And of course there's the whole concept of SMART goals. Make them specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and timely. For those of you who have done your StrengthsFinder, what are your top 5 talent themes? In the other box. For those of you who haven't done your StrengthsFinder, when we're talking about the signs or the activities that make you feel strong, think about them. What do you think your talents could be? Put in some language around what makes you great, what makes you shine. And then because I have about 4 minutes left, I want you to take 2 minutes to look at these 4 boxes as a whole. And I guarantee as you do that and spend some time, again, introspection, what insights come up for you? When we talk about insights again, realisation without enactment is nothing. So what are the action points that you're going to take away? So as you look at your top talents, as you can now clearly see why things that you enjoy doing, why you enjoy doing them. As you look specifically at this side of your page, How can you do more of these things to help you achieve your KPIs? Professor Richardson from New York University. He's a psychotherapist. He's in the Department of Psychology. He gave his graduate students an activity over the Christmas holidays 2 years ago, and he split them up into 2 groups. And so the activity was to write a 1-page synopsis of how you're feeling on the 24th of December, Christmas Eve. He wanted this submitted anywhere between the 24th of December and the 26th of December. So if you can imagine your own household during those 2 days, and imagine what's going on and how crazy things are, he gave one group an extra instruction. And that group ended up having a 300% higher completion rate. What do you think that extra instruction was?
Keep feeling like that?
Keep feeling like that? No.
How are they going to achieve it?
How are they going to achieve it? Yeah, very close. Very close. He asked them to write down where and when they were going to do it. Yeah. So thinking of your own crazy household or a nice serene household if you're Wonder Woman. Thinking of the insights that you've just written down, or maybe you haven't got that far yet, you've just taken the questions from today. I'd like to task you all right now with writing down when and where you're going to come back and revisit. Begin the journey of building your life around your strengths. Because of course, as Jim Rohn said, you can't pay anyone to do your own push-ups. You know, if you want that hot buzz, you've got to do the work yourself. No gain without pain. Great.